Hello and thank you for joining us on Newsweek, where we highlight some of the biggest stories that made the headlines in the week. I am Jacinta Obiuku. Today on Newsweek, Governor Matawalle signs anti-banditry bill into law as he explains the call on Zamfara citizens to get arms for self-defense. In the new law, anyone found guilty of aiding or abetting crimes relating to terrorism and kidnapping is liable to 10 years, 20 years or life imprisonment without the option of fine. Also on Newsweek, President Muhammadu Buhari condemns SHIRORO attack in Niger Delta State as Catholic priest killed on his farm by bandits is buried in Kaduna. In SHIRORO local government area of Niger State, bandits killed 20 military personnel, 7 mobile policemen, and abducted many others at a mining firm, including 4 Chinese nationals. Later on the show, we will take a look at high expectations as Justice Olukayode Ariwola becomes Nigeria's acting Chief Justice. Stay with us. We begin in Zamfara State, northwest Nigeria, where the governor, Bello Matawalle, has signed the state anti-banditry bill into law, which stipulates life imprisonment and various jail terms for bandits and kidnappers. The new law is part of measures to stem the tide of insecurity in the state. We have details in this report.
Governor Bello Matawalle has signed into law a bill prohibiting and punishing banditry, cattle rustling, cultism, kidnapping and other incidental offences 2022. He adds that under the law, anyone found guilty of aiding or abetting the crimes mentioned is liable to life imprisonment, 20 years imprisonment or 10 years imprisonment without options of fine.
The law I have just signed will serve as a legal instrument for prosecuting banditry-related offenders. The new law has provided that any person found guilty of banditry, kidnapping, cattle rustling, cultism, or being informant to the bandit is liable to the death penalty.
Earlier, Speaker of State House of Assembly Nasiru Megaria said the law will serve as a legal instrument for prosecuting banditry-related offences in the state.
This issue of armed banditry or insecurity is not somebody who will take it to play politics with it. Because armed bandit and the criminal element in the state doesn't know a member of APC or PDP, Christian or Muslim. I'm not going to leave any stone unturned to make sure that anybody found wanting should face warrant of the law and order.
The Zamfara state government had initially directed individuals to take up arms to defend themselves against bandits' attack, kidnapping, cattle rustling and other criminal activities, adding that only those qualified to obtain one would be given the license by the police.
Government has henceforth directed individuals to prepare and obtain lawful weapons to defend themselves against the bandits. Although there is an existing law that bans issuance of license to obtain such weapons, people wishing to obtain the weapon are advised to fill forms.
The state government also ordered the recruitment of 200 additional community protection guards in each of the emirates of the state.
That was the story of the new anti-banditry law in Zamfara State. Joining me now for more discussion on this is a security consultant and analyst, Onyekachi Adekoya. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So what do you make of this move by Zamfara State Governor?
I think, again, we're back to the doctrine of necessity, how we approach the matter of security in Nigeria. It's a twist and a change in position from the governor who had ab initio offered the olive branch to the bandits in what we call in military strategy, building a golden bridge. When he came into office, he offered amnesty and offered other sorts of opportunities of dialogue to call the people out of the trenches, to cause them to reach an understanding with the government. For some reason, sometime in August last year, the same governor came out to lament that certain politicians in Zamfara were also behind the failure of that initiative to dialogue with the bandits and bring them out of the bush. So if it's come full circle, clearly the conditions on the ground were not favorable to the initial position, and it's just under, again, doctrine of necessity, because the best he can do is to make that law at the state. You could hear in the report where they said there is an existing ban on acquisition of firearms in the state, but I don't think that negates the position of the Constitution, because you can also acquire firearms legally, but you must apply for it and meet certain criteria. So we're here now. It's Zamfara today. It may be Ebonyi tomorrow, because there's also crisis like this brewing in Ebonyi, you know, just about coming up. So we're in that state in Nigeria now where we're just living day by day from grace to grace, as it were. Okay,
so this law comes into effect with immediate effect. What do you think is the right thing to do? How effective can this go in trying to stem terrorists?
The first thing we do is law for man, not man for law. So the state has the powers to make laws within the remit of what they can do, they have done. To say that it is 10 years for certain level of collaborators and the rest. In some states, like in the East, like in Anambra State, for example, you know, Governor Soludo is going all out, trying to address the issue of insecurity. So whether it will work depends on implementation. The law is there. Some legal minds will say if you don't have a law, if there's no law, the person doesn't have a case. So you've created a legal framework for prosecution to take place. That's the first place to start from. The next thing is now to be able to implement. So in terms of the law, yes, it's the right step in the right direction. Remember, the Senate had tried to pass a law banning the payment of ransom for kidnap. You know, and some of the initiatives that the lawmakers are trying to put in place to ensure some kind of legal framework to prosecute the persons involved in this. Whether or not it will work is left to be seen. It depends on how they go about implementing the provisions of that law.
Now, Governor Matawalle also inaugurated a force security-related committee to counter banditry. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, like I said, the governor is almost now throwing the kitchen sink at this issue of insecurity. But what can he do? He's doing his best. So you have the committees. It won't change much on the ground, to be very fair. They now have 500 community protection team members for every emirate in Zamfara. What would be their armament level? Maybe ding guns or shotguns against people who have mounted guns, who have high caliber assault rifles, who attack in swarms, and you are fighting against people who want to die, and who are significantly on hard drugs. So when they go on those raids, they are not themselves. So when you don't want to die, you are fighting people who don't mind to die. You are already at a disadvantage. So yeah, the committees will try. But again, I don't want us to lose sight of what the governor has said. He made an allegation in August last year, claiming that certain politicians who they know are behind the consistent, persistent attack in Zamfara. What I would expect is that if he claims he knows the people behind this thing, get them arrested and get them prosecuted based on the strength of the new law. And let everybody have some peace. But what the government is not telling us is that there are criminal groups behind mining. If you look at the case in Niger, some Chinese were fingered. The case in Owo, there was mining by some Chinese. The case in Ebonyi, in the Eziago conflicts going on, there are also some cartels also mining that are also being fingered. So there is now a nexus being seen between illegal mining, the flow of illicit drugs, illicit weapons, and banditry. And then, as the governor has said, there is a political class that is aligned, giving these people public or some sort of protection in society. I think these are the issues to address, while also having those other committees. We must bite the bullet and go straight to the issues. If we cannot fully straighten out our mining sector and cut out the issues of illegal mining and the connection to crime, then these issues will not go away. So yeah, the committees are just like government in motion. It's just like on a rocking chair. You are applying force, but you're not making progress.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution so far. Let's take a short break now. Newsweek continues in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are still highlighting the biggest stories that shaped the polity in Nigeria last week. Few days after some terrorists attacked Shirororo local government area of Niger State, which led to death of 20 military personnel, 7 mobile policemen, and kidnapping of others. President Muhammadu Buhari has described the incident as an assault on Nigeria, which will not be allowed to go unpunished. In a statement signed by presidential spokesperson Gabashehu, the president commended the sacrifice of security operatives who lost their lives in the process of defending the country. President Buhari stated that the atrocity only serves to strengthen the country's resolve against insecurity. He also assured citizens that everything humanly possible will be done to ensure safe return of those kidnapped by bandits during the attack. The promise by the president is coming at a time that victims of Abuja-Kaduna train attack by terrorists are still in captivity months after the abduction, with their families still calling on government to ensure their release. Meanwhile, in Kaduna State, tears flowed and emotions ran high as a Catholic priest, Reverend Father Vicious Buguru, who was killed on his farm by bandits, was buried. At the funeral, Archbishop of Kaduna Archdiocese, Most Reverend Matthew Ndagoso, said Nigerians are now like prisoners in their own country. TVC News correspondent Rupe Asom reports.
Reverend Father Vicious Borogo is the third Catholic priest to be buried by the Kaduna Archdiocese within 1 year. Tears flowed freely as his colleagues, family members and other Catholic faithful gathered on Thursday to witness the burial of the 50-year-old. He was killed on his farm in Kujama by armed terrorists last Friday.
Nigerians are traumatized. Nigerians are at the brink of losing hope. People see no reason why they should live now, given what is happening in our country. Whole families have been destroyed, source of livelihood destroyed.
At his funeral service, which held at Queens of Apostles Catholic Church in Kaduna, several priests took part in a procession to protest his gruesome murder. They expressed sadness at the spate of insecurity, which is now sending many innocent citizens to early graves.
I dare to say, if anybody is looking for evidence of a failed state, we have one. If a sitting governor, he's not the first one. A couple of days ago, the governor of Zamfara clearly said, I call out his people to arm themselves, to defend themselves. Before him, the governor of Katsina State, Masari, said the same thing. So what other sign of a failed state are we looking for?
The Archbishop says it has never been this bad in the history of the country.
I'm over 60. Never in my over 60 years of existence in this country, never seen it this bad. Even during the Civil War, I was big enough. Even during the Civil War, when we fought a civil war, we never had this. We never had it this bad. This bad.
It was another emotional moment as the grandmother and colleagues of the priest watched his remains lowered into the grave. They prayed against a repeat of what they describe as man's inhumanity to man. Lupe Asom, TVC News, Kaduna.
I still have security consultant and analyst Onyekachi Adekoya in the studio to dissect this matter. In the process of defending the attack on the mining site, we lost many of our soldiers. What does it say about our military capability to tackle insecurity?
In this particular case, it says nothing at all. You had a single site, which was a mining site. We don't know, there are a lot of unknowns. We don't know what kind of security program they had in place. We don't know how many people they had on site or didn't have on site. Whether or not they had a structured security department, because for you to have 300 people come to attack a site, they must have been traveling from community to community to arrive at the particular mining site. So if somebody was responsible for security for that site, he should have had at least some early warning systems in place to identify any threat to the site. Don't also forget that we also have the SHIRORO Dam in SHIRORO, bearing the fact that the Niger state governor sometimes came out to cry that Niger is almost awash with bandits and terrorists, and highlighting the proximity to Abuja. So it doesn't speak to anything about the capability of our defense posture per this case. What it only shows is a failure of the security doctrine we currently operate in the country. For you to have these terrorists move from community to community unchecked. Yeah, you can argue that they go through Niger, the border with Kaduna, Abuja to Zamfara. They have their clear routes through which they travel. But you don't stop them in Abuja, you don't stop them in Kaduna, you don't stop them in Zamfara. You can't even stop them in Niger. So what are we seeing? There's a style. These are almost the same people that attacked the tomato factory in Kebbi. I don't know if we remember, when this same number of military personnel, police this time lost their lives. And we say 20. Some reports say there are almost 40 people who die. Military policemen die every day in this country. By statistics, an average of 3 of the members of our armed forces die every day in this country. Okay, so it can't be just one incident to say we fail because of that incident. We are failing generally because of the way we're structured.
Okay, so President Buhari has condemned this attack, and Nigerians are wondering for how long are we continue to go to keep condemning this instead of going into action, immediate action? I don't think the
president can do more than what he's doing. And I raised this comment somewhere, and people said I was excusing the president. But if a person has been president for 7 years, and one time he said, shoot aside anybody with AK-47, there are still people carrying AK-47, and they have not been shot at sight. You know, so I think the president has shown that he has reached his wit's end. You know, and I say this with very profound respect for the person of the president. If he could do anything, he could have done something by now. So, yeah, I say in Nigeria, we are like a country waiting for the next incident to occur. And then there will be a lot of hula baloo about the incident for 2 weeks. Then we go on to the next incident. You can go, the report showed you the Abuja train attack. You have seen the Owo attack. You have seen the SHIRORO attack. It is not as though attacks did not happen yesterday or that some will not happen today. And they are still happening even as we speak. And this is Nigeria. People are being adopted now from their home at a very alarming rate around the North Central. ASWAP is now reporting incursions into Kogi, into Kwara. And even the National Security Council had the effrontery to say on national TV that ISWAP were the ones behind the attack in Owo, and which report shows is not really what happened. So we can't make anything of what the president has said. If the pronouncements don't translate to action, then it's just as resounding brass. We're just hearing sound, we're hearing the right language, but we're not seeing that being translated to action. And it is not for the lack of having gallant military personnel. I think it's a failure of leadership. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much for your contributions so far. Let's now move on to our last discussion for tonight. Earlier in the week, President Muhammadu Buhari sworn in Justice Olukayode Arewoola as the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN. His appointment was formalized after he took the oath of office supervised by President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja. But here's confirmation as the substantive CJN is still subjected to the approval of the Senate. TVC News senior correspondent Femi Akande reports.
Do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Justice Olukayode Ariwola taking the judicial oath as he steps in as the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria.
I will discharge my duties and perform my functions honestly.
He takes over from Justice Tanko Mohammed, whose reign was short-lived by his sudden resignation on health grounds. President Muhammadu Buhari says history will be kind to Justice Tanko Mohammed for his modest contribution to Nigeria's judiciary, the strengthening of democracy and national development.
Nigeria's judiciary, under the leadership of Chief Justice of Nigeria, Tanko Mohammed, judiciously exercise the judicial powers of the Federation.
But Justice Tanko Mohammed was recently in the eye of a storm when a leaked memo from 14 justices of the Supreme Court accused him of mismanaging funds and neglecting the welfare of judicial officers. There was also pressure mounting on him to step aside and allow for a thorough investigation into allegations made against him. But CJN Tanko Mohammed denied all the allegations in an attempt to clear his name. With the swearing in of the acting CJN, the judiciary will remain under the spotlight.
There is no controversy in the Supreme Court. We are one. With the cooperation of my brother justices of the Supreme Court, we shall not fail Nigerians.
Justice Ariwola is currently the most senior justice of the Supreme Court. He is currently the 18th Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. He was formerly a Justice of the Court of Appeal and was elevated to the Supreme Court bench in November 2011, following his transfer from the State High Court in Oyo State. With the exit of Justice Tanko Mohammed, Nigeria's judiciary is expected to chart a new course under the leadership of Justice Olukayode Ariwola. Also, the country will rely heavily on the judicial body, especially in this electioneering period, to help interpret laws guiding the electoral process and settle electoral disputes. Femi Akande, TVC News, Abuja.
Now joining me via Zoom to analyze this issue is a lawyer and analyst, Libera Soshoma. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you.
All right. Now, the Supreme Court is battling credibility crisis. What immediate steps do you think the acting CJN should take to restore confidence in the judiciary and the Apex Court?
Yeah, pretty simple. There were allegations that were raised, and these are the allegations that are in the public domain. So, to at least the first step should be to immediately address those allegations, those issues, especially the ones bordering on welfare, because lack of welfare demotivates. And then I doubt very much if they will want to also, carry out this other recommendation. Is a need to also look into the books of the Supreme Court and, to forestall a future occurrence, find out what led to all of this. Was it that because there were allegations that the money was budgeted for? Was it that the money was budgeted for but not appropriated? So that next time it will be easy to know, if Nigerians will also know if every money that is budgeted for is appropriated, or the money is in the budget, but it is not appropriated. By appropriation, I mean the funds are not released as at when due to carry out whatever they are needed for. So once you do that, at least we would have taken the benefit of the low-hanging fruit, addressing all of those. But I can tell you that it is not just the Supreme Court, the entire judiciary, Nigerian judiciary, is in the eye of the storm. Even at the state level, it is worse. And, so it needs an entire systemic and organic cleansing.
Of Judge, do you think Justice Ariwola is, considering his background, experience, and antecedents?
You get that? You said, do I think what?
Okay, I'm asking, what kind of judge is Justice Ariwola, considering his background, experience, and antecedents?
That's question for me. It's very funny. How do you ask a lawyer what kind of judge an acting CJN is in Nigeria of today? Even if whatever I think, I would be very circumspect in expressing, such thoughts. And considering also the fact that we're in a political era, first and foremost, rather than competence, we will look at, tribe. Where is this judge from? Oh, where's this new acting CGN from? Okay, it's from the south, and so. But by and large, really, it's one, considering where we are coming from, considering the outgone CGN, I think Justice Ariwola is far better. Is far better in terms of.
Okay, we are almost out of time, Liberals. Just let me ask you this last question. The Senate insists on investigating allegations made against the former CJN, Tanko Mohammed, despite his resignation. Have they got the power under our law to do that?
They have the powers to do that. They have the powers. There's a Senate Committee on Judiciary. They have the powers to look at, after our monies were budgeted from the national purse. But I can tell you it's a way of grandstanding. Nothing will come out of it. It is
okay.
If the Senate
Liberals, thank you. We are out of time. We are out of time. Thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you. I also want to thank you too, Onyekachi, for joining us so far. Thank you very much. And that's the size of our package today. Just remember that you can join us next week for a fresh episode. You can also join the conversation on our social media platform at TVC News NG or on our website at tvcnews.tv. I am Jacinta Obiuku, and until the next week, goodbye.